Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back again, and we're to answer one very important question, which is just how was everyone so wrong, or exactly who was wrong about the new SSR Liliam in Etheria Restart, the EOS service. All right, we'll get that joke in, it's fine. It's EOS, so it's all over her outfit. On across the form, best character in the game, gonna do more damage than Didding in PvE. I don't know anyone who said that. She does have high multipliers. We've seen the wet noodle builds every once in a while here. If you've seen someone say, yeah, dude, I'm doing the bloodbath build and I do no damage to anything in PvP, check out my 1.8k attack, 150 crit damage build. Huh? Yeah, there's a lot of things to keep in mind there. Now, I have had a lot of success with this character, and she is also mainly going to be a tool specifically in PvP that allows you to build her in one of three main different ways to have super high success rates. If you're here for PvE, is she good there? Honestly, you can use her in a lot of PvE scenarios. If you go and check out, which is one of the new parts of the update here, which is pretty cool, is you can actually come in here and look at the different characters people are using. You can filter by them. I don't know why it's a bad one to show you, but you can come in here and look at rankings and then filter by animuses. Yesterday, she was in here a ton with like 30-second clear times, but it was with Deeding and it didn't really do a whole lot, but you can use her in some of these environments if you so desire. So just come in here and look at different stuff. I don't know why some of this stuff is different than it was before, but 2 minutes on Doki Doki with her in here, it's fine. I don't think she's doing a lot of the work in any of these PvE game modes, especially in some of this stuff like the threshold farmings, but you can come in here and look at some of the grim pursuits and she's doing a decent job there. So to answer your question is like, is she going to help my PvE progression? No, she's not gonna be better than like Deeding in single target boss damage. She never was going to be that. The big strength of her though is how flexible she is in a PvP scenario. And if we go ahead and check out some of the arena rankings for different things going on now, you can see that there are people who are using her in defense teams. Now, the build that they're using obviously is hidden, but we're going to talk about these three different builds. You can also go check out Etheria Summit Arena as well. So one of the main builds that you can use her on is going to be a fast White Fang build like this. I need to lose a little bit of attack. This needs to be a crit damage Swift Raid core here, and I can also be a little bit faster. I can get up to like 310, 315 speed and have around like, I think 3.4k attack, 3.5k is what I'd be at there at like 310 speed, and I'd gain 60 something more crit damage. So I'd be like, you know, 250-ish if I lose a little bit of crit right here. And this isn't a fully prowessed character yet either. I'm missing, you know, 10% here. I'm missing the crit rate here, which would allow me to get a little bit more attack or a little bit more crit damage and substats. And then obviously we're not imprinted on this character either. A build like this with White Fang is something that you can use where you want her to do quick and efficient damage. This is whether you're using a bruiser team with her or you're using her as a sort of tempo turn 1, turn 2 character against someone who wants to, say, instantly cleave you down with something like Amasia. You can use White Fang on her in that regard. Even if they're using Valarian, you're gonna be able to rip that S3 off, take them even with Valarian down to 1, the White Fang will proc, and finish them off. You're gonna be able to use this in whatever sort of team that you want. I would recommend like a tempo fast oriented team, or if you're playing that bruiser tank down stuff and you don't wanna die the Amasia, a build like this will work wonders for you. She also has the ability in a tempo oriented team, to come in here and use her S2 to give you that tempo advantage where you have someone else chunking the enemies down in your turn 1 with your Liliam as your follow-up, right? You see it there, the Rin goes first, cleave some people down, you get a stun off, you kill somebody with the S2 Resounding Thunder, and you stun the entirety of the team, allowing your character to come back again. In this example, use the Lily S3, reset my AoE on my blue Rin, and finish cleaving them down. Even against tankier setups, you can find uses for her. Where the Flash Lightning, no, you're not killing anyone with Bloodbath with this skill, but you are going to reduce their max HP and apply some pressure over time, allowing your other characters to wither them down, bring them down below that HP threshold after they take damage again, and then stun the entire team that way as well. There's a lot of stuff that you can do with this build, but there's other build concepts and build varieties that you can do. This isn't the de facto go-to only way to play her, which is why she's going to be very strong. Now, sadly, I don't have the other builds for you to look at, but you will be building her approximately in the same way here. You're gonna be looking for a little bit of speed. You don't need to be 300 speed for these other two builds. That's really for this majority. I need to go fast and snipe the problem child on the enemy team. You can go for like a 250, a 260 build, right? Where you're gonna be using her in a more bruiser style matchup in a slower metagame. So if you're like a top end RTA player, you might be knowing what I'm talking about, where everyone's just holding Tiamat, Rahu, all of those boys out there. So what is that kind of build looking like here? You're still going to be looking for high crit chance cap, and then either attack or crit damage. And then you can lower the speed a little bit, and you won't be on full Swift Rush, you won't be on full Harvest. What you'll be doing there is using one or two other shells. You're still going to be building her for a damage dealer. We're not stacking health, we're not stacking defense on this character. We're looking to apply pressure and also be a sort of a bruiser player ourselves. She works very well with other bruisers. So some of the other stuff that you'd be looking for, some of the core build features here, yes, we can do stuff like Law of Silence, Codic of Magic memes. Those are pretty decent, but one of the two main ones here is the full apply pressure sustain nuker build, which is something with the count. You might be seeing these pop up a lot in different content creators, or perhaps even in game a lot. And we talked about this when she first was revealed, that this is going to be probably one of the best shells for her, because her mods are very good, but she's an extremely stat hungry character, and being able to get 1200 free attack is very nice, and the life leech is insane as well. This allows you to stack up some more crit damage for yourself and really get a big benefit of that 1200 attack. You're going to be using a shell like the Count and using the matrices in here that we're afforded to. So probably like a 6p Swift rate for that 15% speed. So you just want to be able to apply tempo and be a little bit faster than some of these like bruisers and like 200 and something, 250 speed support style characters. This really helps levy the ability that you can't be crowd controlled, because a lot of the times bruiser tank down teams might not just be, especially in RTA, Rahu plus Holden plus Tiamat plus healers. No, you're going to be drafting some of that yourself. So you're going to have a couple of the bruisers, they're going to have a couple of the bruisers, and a lot of the times, well, a fast crowd control unit does wonders in certain picks and bans and draft modes, depending on what's going on in that matchup, and she's just kind of immune to all of that crowd control. So we don't necessarily need something like Bulwark. What you'll probably be doing, 6p Swift Raid. She works extremely well with Kenai as well, especially for getting that big damage on your S3 right away, or even just doing 2 hits with your S2. The most amount of hits that she does is 2, so you're going to be getting a massive amount of benefit off of Kenai. You can do Battle Will if you so desire, but you can also just throw Fury on there as well. Either one of these 8p sets does wonders. Kenai and then Swift Raid for you there. So this is going to be like a sort of like self-survivable. You have other people that you've drafted with her to make sure that she doesn't die. Maybe you can revive her if she does. Maybe you have like Green Sonya. Maybe you have Beotin in there. Give her a crit damage buff. She's going to have built-in life leech from her S1 with life leech from the shell passive. And she's just going to be able to do a lot of stuff for you with this build. And this is sort of a build setup where you want to use her as a pressure applier in a lot of these bruiser v bruiser matchups, and also survive a little bit of pressure that way as well. She's going to be extremely strong with this build, and it will probably be one of, if not the best build for her. The build I'm using right now is actually probably the worst build because it is the most niche build, but it also allows you to snipe some problematic childs that you just don't want to deal with that could probably dunk on the rest of your bruiser characters. So this is going to help you a lot, and it's also going to allow you to do big damage with your S3. Not one shot everybody, but remember, you're playing bruiser v bruiser. That HP injury is insane. You're locking their health substantially and they can't deal with her, and she cycles around. She's very self-sufficient with her speed buff, and she can kind of just do her own thing there. The other couple that you could use here, the big one is a sort of speedy survival build with Lighthouse. Now, when we say speedy survival, we're not stacking health, we're not stacking defense, we're just using the survivability of Lighthouse in conjunction with the ability for her to be built on Bloodbath here to just make it so when you get into these super tank down circumstances, she can help herself live even longer and apply pressure slowly over time, going into the RTA, right, where you get more damage within the Etheria mode. Frenzy, it's called in Epic 7. I don't know what it's called in this game, where the healing's reduced, the damage is increased, and you're taking advantage of that, coupled with the fact that she can reduce max HP over time every single time she S3s, making it so if you're in these super slow stally matchups, they really want to get her off the board, but you're going to be on Bloodbath. You'll probably go with 12-piece Bloodbath here. You'll probably also go with 6 pieces of Swift Smite, not for the effect accuracy. We don't care about it. We just want the 15% speed there. So we're going to have a 12-piece and a 6-piece, leaving us with another 8-piece of our choice. You can actually go for another 8 pieces of Swift Rush if you so desire, making her a little bit faster. Basically, 8 pieces of Swift Rush in conjunction with Swift Smite is like having 12 pieces of Swift Rush for you there if you want to do that. You can also put her on 8 pieces of Bramble in these matchups. You'll be on a Bramble Bloodbath Swift Smite build where you can counter and heal yourself back up. You're also on Lighthouse, so if you do sustain a big chunk of damage, this only has a 2-turn cooldown. It helps you cycle back around, heal yourself if you're on Swift Rush plus Swift Smite, or you can go with Bramble, apply a little bit of pressure, get a little bit of self-sustain off of that S1. You can also do Strive, I guess, on top of that if they're really trying to dunk down on you. Just after being attacked, push yourself up 10%. Cycle this Lighthouse passive that much more. She's not a character that's going to 1v5, 1v4 in RTA in PvP, but she is an extremely flexible character, and those are going to be the big builds that you're going to be seeing with her. It's just like when Hoyan came out here on the channel. We said, hey, guess what? Hoyan's gonna get dunked on. She needs high-end gear. You won't see her for a while because Hoyan is just that kind of character. And that's why when we looked over her kit and said she's got giant multipliers, she's got EOS written all over, she's gonna be seen everywhere eventually. And we talked about the same exact builds here. That's why we looked at Hoyan. She's not exactly like Hoyan, but she's Hoyan-esque in the fact that Hoyan likes to counter the fast cleave. The Masia killed all your entire team, sort of cleave revelation style setups there. She's got a passive for that. Well, Liliam has a passive for anti-crowd control and a little bit of anti-bruiser, and then the raw stats that she has just allows her to be a little bit extra tankier than a traditional straight up DPS would be, a little bit faster than a traditional straight up DPS will be. She's allowed to be a tempo character regardless of how you have her built, whether it's super tempo and aggro like I have her built, whether you want to go with the big chunk you down sustainy count build, or if you want to go with the Lighthouse build. They're all going to be good, and that's why she's so strong, is because she's going to be a tool as an RTA player in the draft mode out there that, based on how you have her built and based on your playstyle, you will find a place for her in your party, and she's just going to get better and better over time. So if you're going to look for high RTA gameplay in this PvP focused game, well, yeah, I wouldn't skip on her whatsoever. However, if you're not interested in PvP, she is a PvP mainly exclusive character, in almost an RTA almost exclusive character, but we've been using her in Arena. I know Arena just reset, but we found some tanky teams. Hopefully I put that footage up there for you guys. I don't know how much more we're going to be covering this character, but we are going to be doing at least a tier list on this if you want to see that stuff, as well as some other drama llama stuff on this channel. I don't know what we're doing yet. Vote for what you want the channel to be named. Do you want it to be Gotcha Josh still? But I've been kind of thinking maybe it's just Josh is more appropriate. Until then, guys, God bless out there, and I'll catch you guys at EOS. I'm just kidding. You guys can't take a fucking joke, man.